Well, for the next couple of months, this is going to be our project in the front. I'm going to take all these planters apart, make them about a foot deeper. I don't want to make them much more than another foot deeper because, I don't want to have to throw my back out trying to get stuff out of them. But they're a little bit too narrow, and I want to make sure that I have some beautiful plants next year. So, we're just going to do the best we can. And as you can see, there's no trees in my front yard. So this gets sun all afternoon. So we can have a really nice garden. As you see, my goldenberry plant needs to be staked up a little bit, maybe even be trimmed a little, I don't know. But it's sort of leaning over. My other one died that was in the center. They seem to last about 3 years and then they die. But they leave me presents behind because that one was from the mother plant. Goldenberry, as you can see, it's not that big. But by this summer, it'll be as big as the one in the front. So I'll make sure I have it staked up better. And I have a tomato plant, and that is going to stay also. My goal is to take all this out and move it out at least 1 more foot of garden space. And as you can see, we've already started on the project over there. But we still have a lot more to pull out. Well, I shouldn't say pull out, I'd probably trim up and make it wider. Now, this plant here at the bottom is one of my favorites, so it's not going anywhere. Try to get the grass cleaned out a little bit and hope we don't damage the plant too much moving those pavers out a foot. But the actual plant is going to stay. I may take some of it out and transplant it because it is one of my favorites, and it does creep along. I think when I first put it in, it was probably a 2 inch by 2 inch piece, and as you can see, over the couple of years, maybe 4 years, it's grown from a 4-inch plant to this. And because this area always seems to have problems out here in front with weeds and looking terrible, and maybe my soil isn't that good. I don't know what the problem is. Some areas have no problem at all, and some areas seem like they're always problem areas. But this plant does fine there, so there is no problem with that. We're also going to put a bunch of California poppies in here also. So this should be very pretty, maybe in about 3 or 4 months. It's not going to look pretty at first because it's going to look terrible because I'm going to come here and start cutting and trimming everything and getting rid of some stuff. My grandson's going to come over and he's going to take quite a few of these plants. They look pretty bad right now because they need to be trimmed back, and then they'll come back. So I'll probably give him half of what I have, and I'm going to keep half because these also are one of my favorite plants. They really look beautiful all summer and spring. Right now they look terrible, but they should be already trimmed back because they just haven't been done. You trim them back and then they come back with new fresh leaves and look beautiful. And I have a lot of them. My grandson, is definitely taking half of these with him. As you can see, this is so full of these plants, lilies of the Nile, that they're choking each other, I think, out. Now, you're not going to believe it. At one time, this flower bed couldn't grow anything in it. It was just in terrible shape. I put all kinds of new topsoil on. I don't know what was wrong with the soil in this bed, but it wouldn't grow anything. I'd say for probably more like 15, 20 years, nothing. I'd plant stuff, it'd make it maybe 1 season and everything would die. Well, now as you can see, everything is doing great because I've even had other plants in here. The only reason why you don't see anything other than the lilies of the Nile, because they have literally taken over this large flower area. But you know what caused it to get better? And I don't know if it's true, but I'm just going to throw it out there. Because nothing would grow in here, and I mean nothing. My girlfriend gave me a bunch of spider plants, and that's what these are right here in the center. And I just threw them out. I just put them out here. They didn't take any care, no love, no nothing. Those are my favorite kind of plants too. And the spider plants were in there I don't know, maybe another 5 or 10 years. They were in there a long time before I did anything. And they literally just took over the whole flower bed here in the front. I mean, literally, they were just crazy. After I did that, and then I decided I want to look at something besides just spider plants. Now, don't get me wrong, there's still spider plants in here. But the soil is so good in this flower bed now, after I used those spider plants. Now, keep in mind, they were in there at least 5 years, maybe 10, that I had nothing but spider plants in there. So it wasn't like overnight either. Anything I plant in there now, anything will grow. I have no idea what the spider plants did to that soil to improve it. But it did. And at least it did in my yard. And I'm going to dig a lot of these spider plants up too. And I'm going to have a big yard sale. And maybe get some little cups and put the little baby spider plants. These little things here are babies. And maybe sell them for 50 cents or 10 cents or something, I don't know. Because it doesn't look like it, but there's a lot of spider plants in here. And I don't want to throw them away. I want to give somebody. And believe it or not, they don't take any care. I mean, I'm about cold, but where we live, here is their root system. As soon as they get some soil, they'll root in. When I brought them, I was shocked. I just sort of laid them on top of the soil, the mother plants, and they rooted their own selves, and they've taken care of their own selves. Sometimes they don't even get watered for, I don't know, long periods of time. They don't seem to care. But now, of course, I have an automatic sprinkler system, but for years I didn't have one. And so they do fine. And they just, I don't care what you do, they just keep coming back also. So I think I'm going to make a little money and sell some of these little baby plants I have. Hopefully I can get some sold. And then I'm going to take that money and go down to the garden center and buy me some new plants. So that's my goal here in the next 4 months, to get these flower beds cleaned up, get some new plants, get some new seeds. I plant about 95% of my food plants and my flowers by seed. I don't use garden plants. I do buy some to have something pretty right where I want it, because when I plant seeds, I never know for sure what's going to happen with them. But I really don't care, because I love looking at a garden full of life. And I've tried doing it all the nice, neat ways, but you know, I don't care. I guess I'm really bad. Someone asked me about how I grow stuff, and I said, well, I throw it all out there, and what's tough makes it, and it keeps growing, and what's weak dies. And you have to be tough to be in my garden. I do not baby my garden. I do not baby anything hardly. So, but believe it or not, you can get some tough things. I had a little trouble getting those golden berries to start. Buy these plants out here in California. They're $20 to $40. I am not spending $20 or $40 for a plant, because I don't know how long it's going to last and how it's going to survive. Now, I had taken some seeds from these plants and tried to get some more to grow. Total 100% failure, but I left them alone, and you know, they made their own babies all by themselves. And they were from this property. They're strong. This is not a plant here that I bought. This is a baby plant that grew up from my property, from the mother plant. And I've been growing these about 6 years. The golden berries were a little hard to get started to get new ones, but now they just take care of it themselves. I don't know how they do such a great job, but I end up getting at least 2 or 3 new goldenberry plants every year, and they just plant themselves. And look how wonderful and healthy they look. Right now they're starting to look a little sad because it's fall, and some of their leaves are turning, and right now we have a lot of moisture on them, but they're still doing great, and they do fine all winter where I live. I live in Southern California, and we don't have hard winters here. Well, we'll see you next week for our next garden tour. Hugs and kisses from Grandma Sandy and Debbie.